Waking up and realizing your arms no longer respond like they used to. Getting out of bed and feeling like your legs just won't cooperate. Simple tasks, like opening a jar, holding a grocery bag, or climbing a step, begin to feel like challenges from another world. This feeling, common, silent, and often distressing, is experienced by millions of people over the age of 60. But what few people know is that this loss of strength is not an inevitable part of aging. It's not something that simply comes with age. In reality, it's the result of a combination of physical, nutritional, hormonal, and even emotional factors. And understanding those factors might be the first step to reclaiming something you thought was lost: autonomy, movement, freedom. As we age, the body undergoes profound changes. By the age of 30, we already start to lose muscle mass in small amounts. This process intensifies after 50, and in many cases accelerates sharply after 60, leading to a condition known in medicine as sarcopenia. But before we dive into that, we need to understand the background of this frailty. Natural aging reduces the production of anabolic hormones, like testosterone, growth hormone, GH, and IGF-1, all of which are crucial for maintaining lean mass. On top of that, less exposure to sunlight, common among those who rarely leave home, reduces vitamin D production, directly affecting muscle function. And there's more. A sedentary lifestyle, often adopted as a comfort zone, becomes a silent poison for muscles, joints, and even the nervous system responsible for movement. Studies from Harvard University show that muscle strength loss is one of the main predictors of early mortality in older adults. That's right. People who lose the ability to stand up from a chair without help, climb stairs, or even walk steadily are at a much higher risk of developing serious illnesses, falling frequently, and, in many cases, losing their independence entirely. The research revealed that leg strength, even more than body weight or blood pressure, is one of the strongest indicators of healthy longevity. That's because the leg muscles are directly linked to balance, posture, and overall metabolism. When they weaken, the entire body suffers. But why is this decline so intense in the arms and legs specifically? The explanation lies in the nature of our muscles and how we use them, or stop using them. Arms, for example, lose strength more quickly because they are less engaged in daily tasks, especially when routines become more passive. Legs, while used for walking, suffer due to reduced intensity and variety of movement. With fewer squats, fewer uphill walks, and less resistance, the muscles stop being stimulated. And without stimulation, there's no growth. The body gets the message: if I'm not being used, I can be discarded. And that's where danger begins. The World Health Organization states that between ages 65 and 74, more than 35% of people already show signs of functional strength loss. After 75, that number rises to over 50%. But that doesn't mean you're destined to depend on others. Quite the opposite. What science shows more clearly than ever is that the human body has an extraordinary ability to regenerate, adapt, and respond, even after 70, 80, or 90 years. All it needs is stimulation, proper nutrition, and intelligent movement. Unfortunately, many people don't seek help at the first signs of weakness. They assume it's normal, that it's just part of aging, that there's nothing to be done, and with that mindset, they lose precious time. But imagine if instead of accepting weakness as fate, we treated it as a signal, a sign that the body is asking for help, a warning that there's still time, that something can be done with simple exercises, proper nutrition, and guided support. Because there is. It's also important to recognize that strength loss goes beyond the physical. It affects emotions, self-esteem, and one's sense of identity. When someone can no longer carry their own bag, when they avoid leaving the house for fear of falling, when they need help to shower or even cut their food, it's not just the muscle that's weakening. It's the sense of independence, the perception of self. And that's why regaining strength, and even gradually, has such a profound impact. Because each small action recovered also restores a piece of dignity. But the good news is, you don't have to wait. You don't have to get to the point where you can't walk or get up on your own. You can start now, with what you have, where you are. Small steps can lead to big transformations, and this video is all about that, about how you can regain strength in your arms, in your legs, and, most importantly, within yourself. Let's walk this journey together. The next step is to understand what's behind this widespread loss of strength and how a diagnosis called sarcopenia may become the starting point for your transformation. It arrives slowly, without warning, without pain at first. One day you notice it's harder to get up from the couch. The next, carrying groceries leaves you unusually tired. And before you realize it, that strength that once felt natural, automatic, starts slipping through your fingers. This slow, silent, almost invisible process has a name: sarcopenia. And although it may sound like a distant technical term, it's actually one of the biggest threats to health in old age. Largely unknown by those who need to know it most, sarcopenia is currently one of the leading causes of falls, hospitalizations, loss of independence, and functional decline in older adults. And the most alarming part? It's a condition that can be prevented, diagnosed, and even reversed when there is knowledge, guidance, and action. The word sarcopenia comes from Greek: sarx, flesh, and penia, loss. Literally translated, it means loss of flesh. In other words, is loss of muscle mass. But it goes far beyond appearance or aesthetics. Sarcopenia impairs muscle function. It makes movements slower, steps shorter, reflexes less responsive. And this creates a domino effect. The weaker the body becomes, the less mobility one has. The less mobility, the more sedentary one becomes. And the more sedentary, the faster the muscle loss accelerates. It's a cruel cycle, but one that can be broken with awareness and proactive care. According to the European Working Group on Sarcopenia in Older People, EWGSOP, sarcopenia is not just a side effect of aging. It is now recognized internationally as a distinct medical condition, with its own code in the International Classification of Diseases, ICD-10 M62/84. That means we're no longer talking about a natural consequence of age, but rather a real, measurable, and treatable clinical diagnosis. It's estimated that down to 1 in 3 people over the age of 70 already has some degree of sarcopenia, and sadly, many don't even realize it. The diagnostic criteria include 3 main elements: reduced muscle strength, decreased muscle mass, and thus low physical performance. The most commonly used test by health professionals is hand grip strength, where the patient squeezes a device called a dynamometer. If the strength is below the recommended threshold for their age group, that's already a warning sign. Other simple tests include walking speed, time taken to walk a certain distance, and how long it takes to rise from a chair without using the hands. Yes, these tests are simple, but their results speak volumes. Sarcopenia has multiple causes. In addition to natural aging and hormonal decline, factors such as low protein intake, vitamin D deficiency, chronic illnesses like diabetes, heart failure, and rheumatoid arthritis, prolonged use of certain medications like corticosteroids, and most of all, chronic sedentary behavior all contribute to its development. There's also a quiet, often overlooked factor: low-grade chronic inflammation. A constant, subtle inflammation that builds up in the body over time and accelerates muscle tissue breakdown. A study published in the Journal of Cachexia, Sarcopenia and Muscle showed that older adults with sarcopenia have twice the risk of falling, 3 times the risk of hospitalization, and 4 times the risk of early death, compared to those with healthy muscle mass. These numbers are startling, but they serve as a warning, because if the diagnosis is silent, the consequences are not. A fall can lead to fractures, surgeries, months of recovery, and often the beginning of a permanent decline in quality of life. But here's the light at the end of the tunnel. Sarcopenia is not a life sentence. Studies show that in just 12 weeks of guided physical stimulation, much of the lost muscle mass can be recovered. A training program with resistance exercises, even using bodyweight or resistance bands, combined with a diet rich in protein and essential nutrients, already shows visible results. Improvements in strength, balance, energy, and even mood can be noticed within weeks. And the most inspiring part, it doesn't matter what age you start at. There are documented cases of Tselway, people over 90 years old, who increased their muscle mass and regained functional independence through well-structured programs. The problem is that many people only discover sarcopenia after damage has already been done. That's why it's so crucial to talk about it, to inform, educate, and take action. Doctors, physical therapists, nutritionists, and fitness professionals need to be aligned. But the main role belongs to the individual, because in the end, no one knows your body better than you. Pay attention. If you've been feeling weakness in your arms, unsteady legs, difficulty standing up from a chair, insecurity on stairs, or you've been avoiding going out for fear of falling, these are signs that should not be ignored. More than a diagnosis, sarcopenia is a wake-up call, a call to change, to move, to reclaim what seemed lost. And that's exactly what we'll do together in this video. In the next section, we'll dive into the almost recent scientific evidence showing how it's possible to rebuild muscle strength even after 60, 70, or 80 years of age. And you'll see that the body, even tired, even aged, still craves movement, still responds, and can still flourish. For a long time, it was believed that muscle loss in old age was irreversible, like sand slipping through the fingers of time. But modern science is proving exactly the opposite. The human body, even aged, even weakened by illness, falls, or long periods of inactivity, still possesses an incredible capacity for regeneration and adaptation. All it needs are the right stimuli, delivered at the right time. And that's what hundreds of studies around the world have been showing. Yes, it's possible to regain strength, mobility, and physical vitality after 60, 70, 80, and even 90 years of age. A landmark study published in the New England Journal of Medicine, involving older adults aged 72 to 98, revealed that just 8 weeks of resistance training, using light to moderate weights, was enough to increase leg strength by up to 113%. The most surprising part? Most of the participants lived in long-term care institutions and had limited mobility before the program started. This means that even individuals considered frail achieved significant results in a very short time. The findings were so promising that the study became a global reference in geriatric rehabilitation programs. Another key study was conducted by the University of Copenhagen in Denmark, involving more than 4,500 older adults. Researchers concluded that regular exercise, even when started after the age of 70, could increase life expectancy by up to 6 years, along with notable improvements in strength, balance, and reduction of metabolic diseases. They emphasized that the secret is consistency. You don't need to train like an athlete. Just stay in motion with regular stimulation of large muscle groups like those in the legs, hips, arms, and back. The American College of Sports Medicine, one of the most respected institutions in exercise science, recommends that older adults perform strength training 2 to 3 times per week, focusing on functional movements, those that mimic everyday tasks, such as getting up from a chair, climbing steps, carrying objects, or reaching overhead. This type of guided training improves not only muscle strength, but also bone density, joint health, motor coordination, and even cognitive function. Speaking of the brain, a fascinating study published in Nature Medicine examined how physical exercise affects the production of a substance called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, a key player in neuroplasticity, or the brain's ability to form new connections and adapt. The study found that older adults who performed strength and balance exercises had higher levels of BDNF, which translated into improved memory, reduced symptoms of depression, and more motivation to stay active. It's as if the body says to the brain, "I'm alive, help me keep going." And the brain in turn releases substances that strengthen both mind and muscle. Often, what blocks the return of strength isn't the body, it's belief. The idea that it's too late, that it won't make a difference, that my time has passed. But human physiology proves otherwise every single day in clinics, gyms, and rehab centers. Just look at the countless older adults who, after serious falls, learn to walk again, who, after strokes, relearn how to move, who, despite pain and limitations, manage to get out of bed, climb stairs, tend the garden, or even dance. These aren't miracles. They are the result of the right stimuli, guided by professionals and sustained by a desire to live with dignity. It's important to remember that regaining strength is not a straight line. Some days will be easier, others harder. Progress is gradual, but it comes, and often the first visible change is not in muscle size but in confidence, in the steadier step, in the fear that fades, in the smile of someone who can once again wash the dishes without pain, get on a bus without help, play with a grandchild on the living room floor, Small victories that for many feel like a miracle. But what about people with osteoporosis, arthritis, diabetes, or other chronic illnesses? Can they regain strength too? The answer, according to the scientific literature, is yes, with adjustments. Exercises must be personalized, respecting individual limits and focusing on safe movements. Supervision by physical therapists and trained fitness professionals is essential. But the principle remains the same. The body responds to stimulation. And when well-nourished, well-guided, and well-cared for, it can and will deliver results. Science also shows that your greatest risk is not in exercising, it's in doing nothing. Prolonged rest, common after surgeries or falls, dramatically speeds up muscle loss. In just 10 days of total immobilization, an older adult can lose up to 10% of their overall strength. That's why the sooner movement is resumed, even light, gradual, and supported, the better the recovery. The saying, use it or lose it, has never been more true. In this case, the rust is advanced sarcopenia, progressing quietly. Regaining strength isn't about becoming young again. It's about reclaiming ownership of your body, about opening the door without needing anyone's help, about showering alone, crossing the street safely, sitting down and standing up with dignity. That's autonomy. That's freedom. And it's within reach for those who choose to act. In the next section, we'll dive into practical strategies that really work to strengthen for arms and legs right from home. Without the need for expensive equipment or a gym, you'll discover that what matters most isn't where you begin, but your will to keep going, with strength, courage, and faith in your own body. You don't need a gym, heavy dumbbells, or fancy machines to regain strength in your arms or legs. What you need is commitment, guidance, and smart movement. Science is clear. Resistance exercises. Using your own body weight, simple resistance bands, or household items can be just as effective as gym workouts, especially for those starting out or returning to physical activity after a long period of inactivity. In this section, we'll show you how to exercise safely and effectively at home, turning your living room, bedroom, or even your kitchen into a space for rehabilitation and strength rebirth. Let's begin with the basics. What muscle groups should you focus on? To regain functional strength and prevent falls, it's essential to work on the leg muscles, especially quadriceps, glutes, and calves, and arm muscles, biceps, triceps, shoulders, and chest. But don't worry. You won't need to do hundreds of reps or follow complicated routines. The key lies in consistency and gradual progression. One of the most well-studied exercises is the sit to stand. Simply use a sturdy chair and perform the movement of standing up and sitting down without using your hands, keeping good posture. A study from the University of Otago in New Zealand showed that doing 3 sets of 10 repetitions 3 times a week significantly increases leg strength and core stability. Plus, it directly trains one of the most essential functions for older adults, the ability to stand up unassisted, a key component of independence. Another simple yet powerful movement is the Eats Heel Raise, which strengthens the calves and improves balance. Stand supported by a wall or chair, lift your heels off the ground, and hold your weight on the balls of your feet for 3 seconds. Do 10 to 15 repetitions. It may seem like a small effort, but this exercise is highly recommended by physical therapists to help prevent falls in older adults. For the arms, try a classic variation. Wall push-ups. Place your hands against a wall at chest level, step back, and simulate a push-up movement. This activates the shoulder, chest, and triceps muscles without stressing your joints. Start with 2 sets of 8 repetitions and increase over time. A study published in Geriatrics and Gerontology International found that this type of exercise, when practiced regularly, improves not only strength but also bone density in the arms of women over 65. Another great option is the bicep curl using water bottles. Nug. Grab 2 bottles, 500 ml or 1 liter depending on your current strength. Hold one in each hand and curl your arms, bringing your hands toward your shoulders. Repeat 10 to 15 times for 2 or 3 sets. Simple, accessible, and very effective. Just remember, resistance matters less than consistency. What transforms the body is the habit, not intensity. Important, none of these exercises should cause pain. Mild discomfort may occur in the beginning, a sign that the muscles are waking up. But if you feel sharp pain, tingling, shortness of breath, or dizziness, stop immediately and seek medical advice. Safety always comes first. To get the most out of your workouts, warming up and stretching are essential. Before starting, rotate your arms in circles, lift your knees alternately, stretch your legs, and breathe deeply. After your session, spend 5 minutes stretching the muscles you worked. This helps prevent injuries and aids in recovery. But what really sets apart those who see results from those who give up is motivation. Here's a powerful tip: associate exercise with daily habits. Do your movements while watching TV, listening to music, or before breakfast. Make your workout a ritual. Mark each completed day on a calendar. Celebrate your progress. And go further. Take measurements. Photograph your arms and legs every month. You'll be amazed by the transformation. Research from the University of São Paulo, USP, reveals that older adults who exercise at home, even at low intensity, show significant gains in muscle mass and improved mood. Exercise releases endorphins, boosts appetite, improves sleep, and restores self-esteem. In other words, moving your body is like turning on a light in the dark, and that light spreads to every area of life. If you feel weakness in your arms or legs, don't settle. Use that weakness as a signal, as a starting point. The path is within your reach. With determination, patience, and persistence, you can, yes you can, reclaim the strength you thought was gone. In the next section, we'll talk about the nutrition that supports your muscles, focusing on proteins, vitamin D, and other essential nutrients that speed up muscle recovery. Because as important as training is what you put on your plate. Have you ever heard the phrase, "We are what we eat"? For those who want to regain strength in their arms and legs after age 60, this has never been more literally true. Muscles aren't built during workouts, they're built in the kitchen. Every meal, every food choice, every bite can either help or hinder your physical strength and vitality. Science is clear. Without the right nutrients, muscles simply cannot regenerate. It's like trying to build a house without bricks. And among all essential building blocks, two stand out: protein and vitamin D, but they're not alone. Many other powerful allies are found on your plate. In this section, you'll learn how to build a functional, accessible, and powerful diet to rebuild your muscles, and with them your independence. Let's start with the foundation. Protein. It's the raw material of muscle. Without it, the body cannot build new muscle fibers or repair the ones that have worn down. And here's something important. As we age, the body becomes less efficient at absorbing protein, meaning that older adults need more protein than younger people to achieve the same results. That's according to a review published in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society, which recommends 1.2 to 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day for people over 65, more than what's recommended for younger adults. For someone who weighs 70 kilos, about 154 pounds, that means 84 to 105 grams of protein per day. Sounds like a lot? It's not. One egg has about 6 grams of protein. A 100-gram serving of chicken has roughly 30 grams. A glass of milk, 8 grams. If you spread your intake across the day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks, it becomes completely manageable. And here's the key. The distribution of protein throughout the day is just as important as the total amount. Studies show that eating all your protein in one meal, usually lunch, is less effective for muscle building than spreading it over 3 or 4 meals. But what about people who don't eat meat, or those who struggle to chew or digest protein-rich foods? There are plenty of alternatives. Eggs, white cheeses, plain yogurt, tofu, beans, lentils, chickpeas, and supplements like whey protein or plant-based powders can all help. In specific cases, a nutritionist might recommend leucine supplements, an essential amino acid that stimulates muscle growth. It has proven highly effective, especially when combined with resistance training. Now, where does vitamin D fit in? While it's well known for its role in bone health, recent studies show it also plays a crucial role in muscle function. A vitamin D deficiency is linked to weakness, decreased physical performance, and a higher risk of falls. A study published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism found that older adults with healthy vitamin D levels had better balance, stronger lower limbs, and a lower risk of sarcopenia. The main source of vitamin D is sunlight, about 15 to 20 minutes per day at safe times, before 10 a.m. or after 4 p.m. can help. But in many cases, supplementation is needed, especially for those who spend most of their time indoors. It's worth doing a blood test and speaking to your doctor. Besides protein and vitamin D, other nutrients are essential for muscle recovery. Magnesium, for instance, supports muscle contraction and energy production. You'll find it in dark leafy greens, seeds, like chia and pumpkin, nuts and whole grains. Potassium, abundant in bananas, avocados and oranges, helps with the nerve signals that control movement. And let's not forget bicalcium sus, vital for bone health, which in turn supports muscle structure. Good sources include milk, dairy products, green vegetables, and nuts. Another critical aspect is getting enough calories. Many older adults, either out of fear of gaining weight or due to lack of appetite, end up eating too little, but without enough energy, the body goes into survival mode and can't invest in building new tissue. That's why anyone aiming to rebuild strength needs a diet that's nutrient-dense and calorically adequate. Forget restrictive diets without proper guidance. The goal isn't to lose weight at all costs, it's to nourish your body so it can regain vitality. Hydration is just as vital. Dehydration reduces muscle performance, impairs nutrient absorption, and increases the risk of cramps. Even though the sensation of thirst may decrease with age, the body still needs water. Ideally, you should drink 1.5 to 2 liters per day, and this can include plain water, herbal teas, light broths, or diluted juices. We need to look at food differently, not just as a source of pleasure, but as medicine, as fuel, as a tool for rebuilding. Every meal is a chance to strengthen your body, improve your balance, and restore your energy. It's not about following extreme diets or changing everything at once. It's about gradually incorporating choices that support, not sabotage, your daily effort to regain strength. If you feel weakness in your arms or legs, take a look at your plate. It may be telling you a lot. With the right choices, professional guidance, and consistency, food becomes your greatest ally and not a threat, because the muscle you want to rebuild starts with what you choose to eat today. In the next section, we'll talk about a factor many people overlook, the connection between mind and body. Because caring for the body is not enough, your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs can also weaken or strengthen your muscles. You'll see why, when the mind believes it's weak, the body follows. Imagine a 78-year-old woman who had always been active, but after a fall, began avoiding stairs, turning down invitations to go out, and increasingly relying on others for help. Did her body change? Yes. But before the body, what changed was her mind use. Fear set in. A belief in fragility took root. And from that point on, everything else began to crumble. The brain, this powerful machine that controls every movement, can also be the greatest obstacle to recovery. Science calls this central inhibition. When the nervous system shuts off part of the body to protect it from potential harm. But when that shutdown becomes prolonged, repeated, and eventually a belief, it turns into a prison, an invisible prison where the body is still capable, but the mind says, you can't. Neuroscience studies show that muscle weakness isn't always caused by muscle loss. In many cases, the real problem is a lack of neuromuscular activation. In other words, the brain fails to call upon the muscles to act. An article published in Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience found that older adults with mild depression showed a significant reduction in muscle strength, even when their lean muscle mass remained the same. In other words, the muscle is still there. It's the brain that has stopped using it efficiently. This mind-muscle connection is so powerful that there are now therapies known as mental strength training, where patients are guided to visualize movements in detail, standing up from a chair, walking confidently, climbing stairs safely, and the results are remarkable. Simply imagining the movement with focus and repetition is enough to activate motor areas in the brain and improve real physical performance. It's the power of thought shaping physical reality. And this isn't mysticism, it's neurophysiology applied to recovery. But it doesn't stop there. The mind is also shaped by what we hear, think, and believe. Phrases like, I can't anymore, my legs are useless, "I'm too old" act as unconscious commands that sabotage recovery. The brain takes those statements as instructions, and like a loyal computer, it lowers effort, motivation, and even physical regeneration. That's why the way we talk to ourselves matters a lot. Changing your internal dialogue might be the first step in changing your body. Psychology also teaches us that fear of movement, known as kinesiophobia, is one of the biggest barriers to regaining strength in older adults. After falls, surgeries, or negative diagnoses, it's common for people to avoid moving out of fear of making things worse. But that avoidance leads to inactivity, and inactivity leads to further weakening. It's the cycle of frailty being fueled by our own protective instincts. To break it, a bold step is required. Move again, even if you're afraid. With support, with safety, with guidance, but with courage. Practicing mindfulness, meditation, and conscious breathing has also proven helpful in this process. By reducing anxiety and increasing focus, these techniques help the brain rebuild confidence in the body. A study published in the Journal of Aging and Health found that older adults who practiced guided meditation showed improvements in balance, motor control, and their sense of physical safety. This shows that the body doesn't move alone. It's led by the mind, and when the mind is calm, the body responds with more grace and stability. Another powerful factor is emotional and social support. People who feel lonely or undervalued tend to move less, care for themselves less, and fall more easily into apathy. That's why having friends, family, or support groups can be key to reactivating the brain and body. Motivation doesn't appear out of nowhere. It is born from affection, hope, and a connection to something greater than pain. And here's a secret. The body believes what the brain tells it. If you say you're weak, it becomes weak. If you say you're starting over, it prepares to be reborn. Language shapes behavior, and behavior shapes results. So if you feel your arms or legs are not what they used to be, ask yourself, what has my mind been telling them? Maybe it's time to change the story, to let go of "I can't" and embrace "I'm beginning." Because when the mind strengthens, the body follows. In the next section, we'll move from theory to key smart movement. You'll learn the practical physical activity strategies that respect your limitations but challenge your muscles safely, progressively, and effectively. Because now that the mind knows it's possible, the body is ready to act. For many years, movement was seen as something reserved for youth. After a certain age, people were told it was better to stay still, rest, or avoid exertion. But science has dismantled that idea. Today we know that movement is one of the most powerful forms of treatment and prevention in old age, as effective or even more than many medications. The human body was made to move, and when movement is removed from daily life, the body begins to deteriorate. But not just any movement will do. It must respect the body's limits, chronic pain, past surgeries, and accumulated fears. That's why the key is smart, gradual, functional, and enjoyable movement. The World Health Organization recommends that older adults engage in at least 150 minutes of moderate physical activity per week, including strength, mobility, balance, and coordination exercises. But make no mistake, this isn't a guideline for athletes. It's meant for regular people of all ages, including those with limitations. That means every type of movement counts, from climbing stairs mindfully to sweeping the floor, gardening, dancing, or stretching in the morning. The first strategy is simple but powerful. Break up sedentary time with micro-movement breaks throughout the day. Sitting for long periods weakens leg muscles, stiffens joints, and slows circulation. Standing up every 30 minutes, even for just 1 or 2 minutes, makes a difference. You can stretch your arms, roll your shoulders, walk to the kitchen, or simply change positions. Studies show that these small breaks in sedentary behavior reduce the risk of functional decline by up to 30% over the years. Another essential strategy is functional movement with support. Those who have trouble walking or standing should start with exercises using a chair, table, or walker for support. For example, marching in place while holding the back of a chair, lifting knees while seated, controlled sit-to-stand movements. These seemingly simple actions activate major muscle groups and help the brain relearn lost movement patterns. For those with joint pain, such as arthritis in the knees or hips, the best place to begin is in low-impact environments, like water. Water aerobics, shallow water walking, or even adapted swimming exercises are highly beneficial. Water reduces the load on joints and allows for broader movements without pain. According to Age and Aging, seniors who regularly practice water aerobics experience up to 40% improvement in leg function, along with increased self-esteem and better sleep quality. Another safe and effective option is adapted Pilates. When guided by a professional, Pilates combines strength, breathing, balance, and body awareness. It's especially recommended for older adults who fear falling or have suffered fractures. Pilates helps align posture, strengthen the core, abdominal and lower back muscles, and retrain the body to move with grace and control. Tai Chi, a gentle martial art, has also gained attention in recent years as one of the best practices for older adults. With slow, coordinated, and mindful movements, Tai Chi improves balance, reduces fall risk, and boosts confidence in body control. A meta-analysis published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine found that Tai Chi practitioners experienced less pain, greater leg strength, and a stronger sense of control over their bodies. But what if you have severe limitations, like advanced osteoporosis, post-stroke recovery, or respiratory issues? The answer is, you can still move. In these cases, physical therapy is the gateway. Physical therapists guide you through specific exercises for each condition, respecting your pace and individual risks. The goal isn't to go back to how you were, but rather to move forward within your possibilities, with dignity and consistency. Here's a golden tip. Start slowly, but start with a date. Choose 2 days a week for your first sessions. Mark them on a calendar. Treat them as sacred appointments. When exercise becomes routine, the body reorganizes itself, muscles respond, stamina increases, mood improves. Because movement doesn't just strengthen arms and legs, it strengthens hope. The pain that many fear when starting to exercise usually comes from stiffness, disuse, and accumulated tension, but that pain diminishes over time. What begins with difficulty ends in gratitude. The secret is consistency. It's not about training 1 week and skipping the next. It's about giving your body time, respect, and repetition. What age took away over the years, time can also give back, with patience. In the next section, we'll talk about what may be the greatest desire of those facing muscle weakness: regaining independence. We'll explore how it's possible to reverse pain, falls, and feelings of helplessness, and reclaim the freedom to walk alone, get dressed unaided, open doors, and open new paths. Few things hurt as much as dependence. Relying on someone to get out of bed, to put on your shoes, to take a shower, go to the bathroom, or cut your food. That kind of dependence, sometimes physical, sometimes emotional, slowly corrodes self-esteem, dignity, and the joy of living. Autonomy, on the other hand, is one of the purest forms of freedom, and contrary to what many believe, it doesn't disappear completely with age. It can be rebuilt all. And for that, no miracle is needed. Just movement, nutrition, a sharp mind, and above all, a deep desire to live independently. Muscle loss is not just a physical issue. It shows up in behavior. More time sitting, fewer outings, less social interaction, more silence, more fear. And when weakness in the legs and arms sets in, one of the first side effects is falling. In Brazil, every 15 seconds, a senior suffers a fall. And in many cases, what could have been a simple trip becomes a serious fracture, a long hospitalization, and the beginning of a rapid physical decline. But here's the turning point. Falling is not destiny. Pain is not inevitable, and dependence can be reversed. Research from Harvard Medical School shows that functional training and active rehabilitation programs can reduce the risk of falls by up to 50% in older adults suffering from muscle weakness. Data shows that combining strength training, as we've discussed, balance re-education and reaction training, like simulating a trip and learning to recover, has a profound impact on accident prevention and restoring confidence. Pain is another common obstacle. Many avoid movement out of fear of feeling pain, but science has a surprising answer. Chronic pain, such as that caused by arthritis, herniated discs, or fibromyalgia, improves with regular movement. That's right. Inactivity creates stiffness, inflammation, and more pain. Meanwhile, moderate exercise boosts endorphin production, strengthens muscles around joints, improves cartilage lubrication, and retrains the brain's pain receptors. In short, those who move feel less pain, not more. Another key to restoring independence is adapting your home environment. Often the issue isn't just physical, it's the hazards in the house. Slippery rugs, stairs without railings, low furniture, poorly adapted bathrooms. The first step is making the home a safe space. Install grab bars, raise bed height, organize items within easy reach. These changes reduce risks and increase freedom of movement, even without help. But regaining autonomy goes beyond the physical. It means reclaiming control over your own life, being able to choose again, to go for a walk, shop for groceries, schedule a doctor's appointment, or shower on your own. Every small victory is a step toward independence. And the best part, the more autonomy you gain, the more you begin to believe in yourself again. It's a positive cycle that transforms life from the inside out. A study from the University of Barcelona followed seniors over 75 who joined a home-based rehab program. After 12 weeks of strength training, posture re-education, and home adaptations, more than 80% were able to perform basic daily tasks independently. Again, cooking, dressing, walking to the pharmacy, simple acts for some, huge milestones for those who felt they were losing control of their lives. Autonomy is also reconnection. When the body starts responding, people start engaging again, going to church, visiting children, attending meetings, dancing. The effect on the brain is tremendous. Self-esteem blooms, mood lifts, memory sharpens, life regains its color, because there is no dignity without freedom, and nothing is more freeing than moving without depending on others. If you feel like you're losing your independence, take a look at everything we've covered so far. Recovery lies in movement, in food, in the mind, in your environment. You can regain your strength. You can walk confidently again. You can take care of yourself. And even if you need help sometimes, what matters most is to never give up on yourself. In the next section, we'll draw inspiration from those who've already walked this path. We'll explore real stories of resilience, from people who, despite old age, chronic illness, or serious trauma, learn to walk, live, and believe again, on their own 2 feet. There is nothing more powerful than a story of resilience. Because when science meets lived experience, when numbers gain a face, a name, and emotion, something awakens inside us. Motivation ignites. I can't turns into what if I tried. That's why in this section, we're not going to talk about theory, we're going to talk about people. Ordinary people just like you and me, people who faced falls, illnesses, surgeries, pain, and loss, and still took a step, then another, and another, until the impossible became a path. Let's begin with Dona Celina, 82 years old, from Ribeirão Preto. After a femur fracture caused by a fall in the bathroom, she spent 3 months bedridden. Doctors said she might never walk again. Celina, once fiercely independent, felt her identity collapse. She cried at night, refused visitors, said she was tired of fighting, but something shifted when her 12-year-old granddaughter looked her in the eyes and said, "Grandma, you taught me how to walk. Now it's my turn to help you walk again." With tears and a thread of courage, Celina began a daily physical therapy program. At first, she could barely sit. Then she started standing with assistance. After 3 months, she was walking with a walker. After 6, by herself. Today, she goes to church every Sunday, in low heels, but with her head held high. Regaining strength, she says, was also about regaining my faith. Another moving story is that of Kesu Anteropo, 76, a retired construction worker diagnosed with Parkinson's 5 years ago. The disease brought constant tremors and progressive imbalance. Out of fear of falling, Antero avoided all activity. He spent his days sitting, watching television, while the strength in his arms and legs slowly faded. Until one day, during a consultation, his geriatric doctor asked, "Do you want to live or just survive?" That question struck like lightning. With support from the local health team, Antero joined an adapted exercise program at the neighborhood park. Wobbly first steps, then short walks. After 4 months, he was using a stick for exercises and climbing steps safely. But the greatest miracle, he says, was being able to carry his grandson in his arms again. "I got my life back," says Antero, "and I found out that the strength was only asleep, not gone." Science is closely following stories like these. In São Paulo, a project called Viva com Força, Live with Strength, implemented in public health clinics, supports hundreds of frail seniors. Among them is Dona Joana, 89 years old, who arrived in a wheelchair, unable to stand on her own. 3 months later, she was walking with a cane. 6 months in, she joined light group walks in her neighborhood. And after 1 year, she completed a symbolic 1-kilometer walk in Parque da Juventude, tears in her eyes and a sign on her chest that read, "It's never too late to start again." And it truly isn't. These stories are not exceptions. They are invitations. Invitations to believe, to act, to take the first step, to prove that muscles may weaken, but our willpower can grow even stronger over time. Because what moves these people isn't just therapy or diet. It's love. Love for life. Love for freedom. Love for their own story. And no medical test can measure that. No report can predict it. No age can limit it. If you doubt you can rise again, think of these stories. Think of those who hit rock bottom and with courage built each step back toward the light. Physical strength matters, yes, but emotional strength is what fuels transformation, and it lives within you, even if it's been dormant. In the next and final section of this guide, we'll put together a practical and accessible action plan with guidance to help you start this week with safety, focus, and purpose. Because now that you've learned everything you need, it's time to turn knowledge into action. We've reached the most important moment of this journey, the turning point, because information alone doesn't bring change. What truly transforms life is action. And here's the good news. You don't have to change everything all at once. The secret lies in one small daily decisions, steady and consistent, that build a new body and a new story. If you feel like you've lost strength in your arms or legs, this is the plan to help you begin your rebuild. 1 step per day, 1 mindful action, 1 new choice. Today is your starting point. Day 1, reflection and commitment. Start with a simple yet powerful gesture. Make a commitment to yourself. Grab a notebook or sheet of paper and write, "I choose to reclaim my strength. Starting today, I will be my own ally." Then assess where you are. Can you get up from a chair without help? Walk for 10 minutes? Carry a liter of water? Don't judge yourself. Just take note. This will be your baseline. Take a photo if you'd like. It will remind you, weeks from now, where you began. Day 2, gentle movement with purpose. Start your day with light stretches. Arms extended, neck relaxed, legs gently stretched. Then do 2 sets of 5 sit-to-stand repetitions using a chair, with hand support if needed. Walk around your home for 3 to 5 minutes, timing yourself. The most important thing today is to break the cycle of inactivity. Remember, a little done consistently is better than a lot done once. Day 3, arm strength. Using 2 500 ml water bottles, perform 2 sets of 10 bicep curls, bending elbows toward the chest. Then do wall push-ups, pressing your palms against the wall and pushing as if doing a push-up. Do 2 sets of 8. Finish with a 5-minute light walk. Today, you activated muscles that were asleep, The mild soreness tomorrow is your body waking up. Day 4, conscious nutrition. Today's focus is on your plate. Increase your protein intake in every meal. Have an egg or yogurt for breakfast. Add chicken, fish, beans, or lentils to your lunch. For dinner, try a hearty vegetable soup with light protein. Drink water throughout the day. Avoid ultra-processed foods. If possible, schedule a vitamin D test. It's an investment in your future strength. Day 5, leg strength and balance. Repeat the sit-to-stand exercise, this time without using your hands if you can. Then do heel raises. Stand on tiptoes for 3 seconds, then lower. Repeat 10 times. While holding a chair, stand on 1 foot for 10 seconds, then switch. This builds balance and is essential for preventing falls. End your day with this affirmation: my body is responding, and I am back in control. Day 6, breath and mind. Take 10 minutes in silence. Sit comfortably, close your eyes and breathe deeply. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 2, exhale for 6. Repeat for 10 minutes. This relaxes your muscles, eases anxiety, and strengthens your body-mind connection. Reread what you wrote on day 1. Notice how far you've come. Know this: you are winning, and you will keep winning. Day 7. Reflection and celebration. Return to your initial assessment. Compare how you feel now. Is it easier to get up? Are you walking with more confidence, eating better, feeling more energized? If yes, celebrate. If not yet, keep going. The journey has only just begun, and you've already proven you're capable. Choose something special to mark this day: a phone call with someone you love, a quiet walk in the sun, a flower in your window, and say out loud, "I am rebuilding myself, and this is just the beginning." You don't need a perfect body. You don't need to run marathons. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. But you can, and you deserve to, stand tall, walk with confidence, and live with dignity. The strength you feel you've lost was never gone. It was just asleep. And now it's waking up, day by day, choice by choice, because time is not your enemy. Time from now on is your ally.